following video is a copyright production of the Arkansas Association of High School Officials. Visit our website at AAHSO.com. The Arkansas Association of High School Officials, we're helping good officials get better. Technical assistance provided by Dax Hill, Greg Downham, Tyrone Blanks, and George Demetrio. Our video editor is Kenny Sanders. Our executive producer is Walt Coleman. I'm your host, Todd Allen. This video is brought to you by the Reading Study Guide to the NFHS Football Rules 2016 edition. I don't endorse many products, but one thing I do know is we can all be better at studying and applying the rules. There's no better tool to help you get a grasp of the rules and be confident to enforce every penalty with accuracy and consistency than the Reading Study Guide. I highly recommend this to any official who wants to get better every week. The Reading Study Guide to the NFHS Football Rules. When you're through learning, you're through. All right, let's take a look at this play, and this is an interesting play. It's going to give us a little bit of trouble, and we'll talk about why maybe it's giving us some trouble and look at some of the mechanical stuff. But the first thing I want you to notice is the ball is at about the 1 yard line. You can see from the head linesman's position here that he's standing right at the 1 yard line. And let's talk about the mechanics for line of scrimmage officials when you're coming out of the end zone. And we like to say that these mechanics are going to start for both line of scrimmage officials when the ball reaches the 3 yard line. So what we're going to do is when the ball is snapped, your first move for, like, let's say this head linesman is just going to be to step back to the goal line and then work the goal line. It doesn't matter if this trip formation out here, if these guys all run down the field or not. The back judge is going to keep the cushion, and we want you to get to the goal line until it's no longer threatened. So this is going to be a little bit difficult for us to get downfield on some plays that end up there, but it's more important that we have somebody stationary at the goal line than it is for us to be downfield officiating the play, because that goal line is critically important. So, but the main thing is when the ball is snapped, your first step is right to the goal line and set up anytime the ball is at 3 or closer to the goal line than the 3 yard line. So for the mechanic for the referee, which is going to come into play in this, you're going to be stationed on the end line, and you should remain on the end line until the end line is no longer threatened. Kind of got an idea now of maybe what's going to happen on this play, but let's take a look at it here. As the ball is snapped, we're going to try to do a handoff in the end zone. That ball ends up fumbled, and there's a scramble for it right at the goal line, and then this running back comes out and takes off around the end. And I'll spare you the agony of watching this. He does go 100 yards for a touchdown. Let's back it up and start breaking this play down the way we want to. So we notice, let's snap the ball and get to the fumble. And now the ball is on the ground. Let's look at the position. All we can see really is the head linesman. He has not stepped off of the line of scrimmage and worked back to the goal line. He should already be set up there. And if he were set up, he would have a pretty good angle of looking down this goal line and see what's going on. And with this ball on the ground in here, obviously we want all of his attention focused on this action right in here and focused on what's happening with that ball. So we move it along a little bit further, and now we see the running back who lost the fumble. This is him right here. And let's look at what he's doing. And I want to try to pick up the ball. Okay, can you see the ball, the stripe of the ball right there? It's difficult to see because it's not really super clear video. It's not an HD video or anything, but you can see the ball there. So what I'm going to do now is just track it a little bit further and see the ball on the ground. And then I want to watch it and see when it comes up off the ground. I can see that the player has the ball now, has his hands on it. I can't tell if he's in possession of it, but I do know one thing. His knee is on the ground. I don't know if he has possession of the ball, but that is his knee. So now I'm back to my focus is now back on the ball again, and I want to see the ball come up off the turf. There it is. Okay, I can see now the turf underneath where the ball was sitting, so I know that it's up off of the turf, which means that this player is in firm control of the ball. He has possession of the ball. So now let's go back and find his knee again, and it's not hard to find. His knee is right there, and his knee is clearly on the ground. His knee's on the ground, he's in possession of the ball, and so this ball is dead by rule, correct? But here's the problem. Now this is the head linesman. If he were in the proper position, he would be looking at the back. He could not tell where the position of this ball is. So even though he's in a bad position, it's going to be very difficult for him to help us on this play. So who's going to have the best look? Where does this really open up to? It opens up to the referee. But look at this problem. Look what the referee's doing. We couldn't see him in the previous frames. Let me back it up just a little bit and show you when the ball's loose. See, the ball is loose now, and we can't see it. We can't see the referee.
And the ball is now loose and it's rolling around on the ground. So what's the referee doing? Now we look at him here. He's running in. He's still running in, which tells me if he's still running, he never sees this running back pick the ball up. So where is his focus? Where is his concentration? I don't know. We do know that when we move, we lose 30% of our vision. The science of officiating tells us that. Let's run this a little bit further, and you can see how much trouble he's in. Now he's trying to stop. He's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Now look, he's in the best position to make a tackle right here. He's come way inside. And we see why this play breaks down mechanically. The referee's in a very, very poor position. Shouldn't have even moved because while this ball is loose on the ground, the inline's still threatened. Because this ball could, this player right here, he could kick the ball. And I shouldn't say kick the ball because that's a layman's term. But he might make contact with the ball, causing the ball to squirm out here. And then we could have a big scrum of players right in here competing for the ball. And if the referee's running up in here, now we've got no protection on the inline. So this referee is in a bad position, which we already said. We need him to stay on the inline. Stand still, keep officiating, work this play. If we'd stayed in the position, we could have seen what happened to this ball, and we got a shot at getting this play right. And we got a shot at getting this play right. We're going to rule a safety for Team A instead of what we end up ruling here is a touchdown. And I don't want to let the line judge off the hook, because the line judge, if he had been on the goal line, and I don't know if he was or wasn't, couldn't see him, he may have been in a great position to see this play. So we end up giving the offense a touchdown for 6 points plus extra points 7. And what we actually should have been doing is giving 2 points to the defense. So we basically have a 9-point swing here because we're out of position and don't read the play and don't make the right ruling. Know your mechanics. Work so hard at your mechanics that they're second nature and you don't even have to think. Move with a purpose and you got the best shot to get these type of plays correct for a safety. This next play involves potential offensive holding on the left tackle, number 50. Let's take a look at this play as the quarterback's just going to drop back from shotgun formation to pass down the field. And the left tackle gets that left arm out on the shoulder of the defensive end and gives it a tug right there. You see this? Now, this is not a speed move. Look at this. Watch the defender's shoulder. Boom, right there. That tug, that's what we're talking about. He's got a hold of him. It's not huge, but it does jump out at you as a material restriction. It's right at the point of attack. And the defender's never going to run, and that's not a natural motion of running and using speed to try to get to the quarterback. That's, boom, that tackle grabbing and pulling you down. So that is an offensive hold right at the point of attack, correctly officiated by the referee here. And you can just see that he's got that hand on that shoulder, and he just gives it a pull. We're looking at the right spot. We're seeing improper technique, and then we are seeing a material restriction by the left tackle. This is correctly called offensive holding by the referee. All right, let's talk about blocking below the waist and look in the definitions in 2.3.7, which just says that blocking below the waist is initial contact below the waist, front or side of an opponent who is not a runner, who has one or both feet on the ground. If the opponent uses one or both hands to avoid the block and his hands are below the waist and the block continues below the waist, it is still considered a block below the waist. A couple of rule references for you in addition to these. Definitions 2.17.2 and plain rules in 9.3.2. And a good piece of equipment to use to study the blocking below the waist and all of the rules in the National Federation is GetItRightTraining.com. We've got some animated graphics, which will be a weekly segment in our training videos now. We're going to use these graphics to help us study the rules, because what I like about it is I don't have to dig through a bunch of plays to find it, and I can move the camera around and study the rules and look at the action of the players, and I get exactly what I'm looking for. So it's a great study tool, and you can go to GetItRightTraining.com, enter promo code AAHSO. It's a great training tool, and I know it'll help you with your game. But let's look at this, because this is great. When we talked about the rule, we mentioned that it's blocking your opponent. We frequently think about blocking below the waist to only involve the offense, but the defense can also illegally block below the waist, and here is a great view of that occurring right here, where this linebacker is just coming out and getting the lead blocker. Got a couple of different angles to look at it with these graphics from GetItRightTraining.com, and this is really, really cool stuff. So this is obviously the defender blocking below the waist. Either team blocking below the waist in this situation is a foul because we haven't met the requirements for blocking below the waist legally in the free blocking zone. But if you want to talk about that, you can check out our week 1 training video. We covered that in depth. Now we use the animation to show us the defense blocking low, but now let's look at some plays where the offense blocks low. Watch the fullback there as he gets to the second level. He starts cutting the linebackers, and I'll give you a couple of looks at this. And then another play, the exact same player, and he's going to do the exact same thing. Who gets a good look at this? The action's right in front of the umpire, who's focusing on his keys who are on the other side. But when you see these players at the second level getting cut, flying up in the air like that, that's a pretty good indication that they're getting blocked low. So referees also got a shot at this. This is a tougher block to catch on the outside. So I would expect that these are going to come from either the referee or the umpire. Let's look at a couple of kick plays here. And look on the left here, second player from the end. Ball is snapped and he immediately submarines. And give you a couple of looks at that. You can see him just bam, right down. Same player here now on the opposite end of the field and the exact same result. So now that we understand exactly what blocking below the waist is, that it can never occur on a kick down. Blocking below the waist is prohibited by everyone on a kick down. So these plays where we're kicking the ball, I would expect that almost anybody on the crew could get this one. It's right out there in space, and you just got to focus and make sure that not everyone's looking at the ball. That's the big challenge on those field goal plays, is to make sure we've got eyes on all 22 players. Blocking below the waist, it is a all but one foul and a 15-yard penalty. All right, the play that I want to look at now involves potential for offensive holding, and the player I want you to keep an eye on is right here, this inside player on the trips formation at the top of the screen with the head linesman. And just watch him. He's going to just come out here and on this little bubble screen and get on this defender and just takes him to the outside. And not a whole lot there as far as technique problems. He kind of comes at him from the side, doesn't hit him in the back. There's initial contact is right on the side. He maintains that contact and just drives this defender in the direction he was already going. The receiver takes an inside position on him and goes right by him. And then we end up dropping a flag here for what we call offensive holding. So run it back here and run it in slow motion for you. And just tell me if you see anything that jumps out at you that might be a potential for an offensive hold. I've also got this end zone shot we can look at, and it also shows the action of the player in question. You can see him. He's right here now. There he goes with that side contact, and he just digs in and just drives this guy right by him. And nothing there that looks like any problem as far as his technique. If you come to it late, you might think it's a block in the back, but we know from the wide shot that the defender turns on him. There's the flag for an offensive hold. And the weird thing about this is if you keep watching this play, this is an incorrect call. This is not offensive holding. There's no material restriction here. He just pushes this guy the direction he was already going. There's a late grab right there. You can see the jersey stretch, but the flag's already down. Ball carrier's 5 yards beyond him. This has no effect on the play. What I want you to watch is this action right here. Now, we know that this player is in chase mode because he's approaching this defender from the back, and we know that if you approach the defender from chase mode, that you get absolutely no leeway. All your contact has to be clearly in the front. There can be no contact in the rear. And we see here that he just shoves this guy right by the play. Of course, ball carrier's going down, but this is still a block in the back and a foul that we would want called. What leads up to this? Where's the mechanical breakdown? Now, the head linesman here does not have the angle, because if he's looking upfield, which he's not, he's looking right at this action. Remember, he's going to call a flag here. He's going to throw a flag here for holding. But he wouldn't have this angle. He's not going to be able to see this approach from the rear, so we do not expect the head linesman to have this call. But what I want to show you is the mechanical breakdown. The play is still going on, and look what the back judge is doing. Back judge is in motion. He's running toward the play. And we know from our previous discussions in the science of officiating that when we run, we lose about 30% of our vision. So he doesn't see this setup, and he's in perfect position to see it. Look at this angle that he's got. If he's standing still right here, he's going to be looking at the back side of this play, or I should say the front side of this play. All this action right out here in front is where he's going to be focused in. And there's only one threat here. This threat is the offensive hold that the head linesman had, so it's not something he needs to be making a decision on. The umpire is going to be looking right in here. and there's no threats here. So we would expect the back judge to be looking at this action right in here. And there are really potentially two fouls, two things that the back judge needs to be watching. One of them's right here, and we've got a lot of separation. We're not really coming from chase mode, so that shouldn't really raise your antennas. But if you're assessing the potential threats, this should jump out at you, because we've got a player closing in on the play. He's swimming upstream. Remember, swimming upstream is that term that we use when one player is running the totally opposite direction of his teammates. He's swimming up the stream. Ball carrier's coming this way. Everybody else is moving this way. And this guy's kind of moving this way. So this guy is swimming upstream, so that should be a big antenna for you. And then we just watch the action as he finishes his play. He just shoves that guy right back. Clearly a block in the back, something we would want called for an illegal block in the back. Give you a couple more looks at it here. Slow motion. Run it through, stop it right before the impact. You see the ball carrier still up right near the sideline. And we get that shove right there. So what we have is an incorrect call for offensive holding. This is not a material restriction and not something that we would want called as offensive holding. And then we get a no call for the back judge for an illegal block in the back. And so two mistakes on one play. You just got to focus, keep our eye on all of these players, stand still when you can. Don't be in a hurry to get to the dead ball spot. Be a great dead ball official. And this is actually a live ball foul, but if you're setting up to officiate the dead ball, you're going to clearly have a good look at this action on this offensive player right here, and you're going to pick up this illegal block in the back. That is it for this week 3 training video. I appreciate all the time you're spending with the play bulletins, with the quizzes, and with these training videos. If you haven't been taking the quizzes, those are available online. It's a fully automated process. Go to www.AAHSO, click on the quizzes link, and it's a drop-down menu. You can find the weekly quiz there. I want to remind you, too, that don't be overly technical. The mistakes that we're seeing on offensive holding, on defensive pass interference, on formation fouls, these mistakes are instances where we're being overly technical. So we want to let the kids play. We want to make sure that the fouls that we call are big, that they show up on film, that they have a competitive impact on the game. And that's a tough balance, and the only way we get there with consistency across an entire section of the association is by looking at what's right and what's wrong, which is what we've been trying to do with these training tapes. So that is it. Go out and work hard. The next couple of weeks we're going to move into conference play, which elevates the competition and elevates the importance of each game, and it needs to elevate how we officiate. Make them big. Don't be overly technical. If you have a question or comment, I'd love to hear from you. Todd at AAHSO is my email address. Until next week, Todd Allen saying I hope to see you on the field real soon.